I'd like to talk to you about personal branding, professional presence, self-leadership, and entrepreneurship. And I hope that at the end of the session, you would see how all of this comes together to help you get the professional visibility that you're looking for, and would also help you get the results that you need. So for us to start, I think I would like to start with one I like to always ask people. What is professional presence? Anybody? Do you have anybody attempting to answer that? Okay, Sharon, your hand is raised. If you're in a quiet place, I believe you can go ahead.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Ma.
Good evening.
Um, I don't have a concise answer, but I'm going to speak on it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that that term is about making yourself known as a capable individual, reflecting your ideologies, your value systems, and your professional proficiency in multiple or a single task to an audience. Yeah, that's it.
Hmm. Okay. Okay, nice. That's professional presence. Yes. Okay. Do we have any other person? Titilayo, please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Just a concise summary that I have in my head. Professional
Mm-hmm.
presence, the way you carry yourself at work, your attitude, the way you do your things at work, that people know that okay, well, this person is able to deliver this task professionally. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, great. Great. So we have the simple English and the plenty English. So I mean, it appeals to all the audiences that we have here. Thank you, Sharon and Titilayo. Okay, do we have anyone to define self leadership? Anybody? Okay, Sharon.
Okay. Thought leadership is
Self leadership.
okay. Okay. Self leadership.
Yes.
Self leadership to me is the ability to be a leader to yourself.
I mean,
That's
quite
just
simple. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
yeah.
That's good. I mean, it sounds funny, but it's actually very correct. It sounds funny, but that's like the simplest way to put it. Okay. And then I'm going to take entrepreneurship next. Is there any other person that wants to help us define entrepreneurship? Don't worry, my sessions there are no right or wrong answers. I like to hear everybody's thoughts. So, entrepreneurship. Oluchi, please go ahead.
Okay. All right. So my understanding of entrepreneurship, sorry, would be like being the CEO when it comes to like personal brand, I guess. It would be like being the
Mhm.
CEO of your own life. Yes.
Okay. Being the CEO of your own life. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Yes. Any other person to define entrepreneurship? I know we're used to hearing entrepreneurs, so people who start businesses and are running businesses and all of that. Yes. Titula.
Entrepreneurship is when you are working for someone, but you still have entrepreneurship vibes. Like you are still doing like CEO, but low key, you are still working for someone.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Um, that definition calls out a few things that I believe limits us as young people when we always think, "Oh, I'm working for someone." That's it's a I know it seems like a minor statement, but more often than not, the mentality of, "Oh, I'm working for someone." versus I'm working for myself is usually what makes the difference between a superstar in a place of work and just somebody who shows up every day, clocks in and clocks out. Right. And hopefully we will see why. Okay. So I'm going to leave the definition of personal branding and we'll just go ahead. So those are 4 concepts, right? And like we got the definition earlier based on what Sharon shared with us and Titilayo. In very simple terms, professional presence is how you show up, right? It's how you show up every day, how you show up. Entrepreneurship is the value you can create. It's how you go about creating that value in your place of work, right? Some of us are employees. Some of you are gathering money to. If you're not running away from the country, you might probably want to start something for yourself. But entrepreneurship is how you create value within the space where you currently are, where you find yourself. And personal branding, very simply put, is how people remember you. And self-leadership is how you pull all of this together. Now, if you take them individually as pillars, there are things that you can spend hours trying to understand. But the reason these 4 concepts are important is because they go a long way in shaping your professional reputation, which eventually affects your career outcomes, whether you like it or not. You don't have to agree, right? But it is what it is. Now, so have this at the back of your mind while we run through the other slides that we have. So like I said, professional presence is how you show up, right? So your communication, your behavior, your attitude. There are people in your place of work that when you mention, there's a presentation to be done, you already know the person that is going to run away. Right? When you mention that, when you're talking about punctuality, you already know people that, okay, these people like to come early, or people that don't like to come early. You already know them. How you communicate, how you interact with other people in a professional setting. Some of us think it's just enough to be brilliant and that everything will fall into place. But unfortunately, the trap that most young professionals fall into is believing that your skills are enough. Okay, yes, they need a data analyst, they need this, they need that. Yes, I have the skills, and that's enough for you to advance to the next point in your career. It is not enough. Being good at your job is not enough, because there's something called social currency and also something called your emotional currency with people. So in your place of work, you have the functional currency and social currency. The functional currency is what value are you bringing in terms of the job. Oh, so you're a data analyst, or you're a brand manager, or you're a clinical pharmacist, or whatever it is, or you're a supply chain professional. How well can you do that job when you're assigned tasks? How well can you do it? That's your functional currency. Do they know that, if we need to get something done within a particular time, this person is going to get it done? Fantastic. But you see, the social and emotional currency is the part where the people who matter, can they see what you're doing? And do they believe in this perceived value that you think you're bringing to the table? Do the people who matter, can they see it? The people who matter, can they see that thing? And can they see that, despite the fact that this person is good, they can trust you that your attitude and behavior will always be something they can go to bed, like they can just forget about it. I'm like, oh no, this person is going to show up correct. Or are you someone that you're good at your job, but people cannot stand you? And I had to learn this the hard way, because early in my career, I used to tell people that, do you want to like me or do you want to get the job done? You have to pick one, right? Yep, you have to pick one. Like, I can't do both. That's what I used to tell myself. But I realized, well, luckily, because I've been blessed with the gift of very good mentors and very good sponsors as well. And I've been really blessed with that. And they were able to point that out for me, that look, as much as you don't care whether people like you or not, and you just want to show up, do your job and leave, there are instances where that's what will make the difference between where you are currently and where you would get to. Now, as young professionals, the fact that somebody else is getting ahead of you does not mean that maybe the person is, or maybe the people in the places of authority, they're playing favorites. No, It just means that they have better professional presence than you do. And one of the things that you have to correct is deciding by yourself that, okay, how do I want to show up? How do I want to talk to people? When people, even, do I always want to try to outshine my superiors because, well, I'm younger, I know more things. I can always use ChatGPT to make me shine fast, and I can always just make some comments and they feel, oh, okay, is that what you're doing? Or are you taking advantage of the technological tools you have at your disposal to present yourself as a solution provider? One thing I tell people who have possibly interned with me or people who have worked with me is that if you have a superior, if you have a boss, the first rule for you to advance in your career is to make your boss's life easy. That's the very first rule. Make their life easy. So this means identifying problems when they happen and doing your best to fix it. This means if the workplace culture values punctuality, values being proactive, you give it what it wants and you do what is required for you to be seen in a positive light. I'm not saying pretend. I'm saying do the job that is needed for you to move ahead, right? So that's professional presence. How do you show up, right? What will people think of when they see you? What comes to mind, right? Okay. Then, like someone rightly defined entrepreneurship is you thinking like an entrepreneur within an organization. Personally, I don't like it when people say, "Oh, I'm working for someone." I don't like it. I feel it's a form of dissociation, right? And then it takes away the responsibility of you providing solutions or being innovative. It takes away that responsibility from you because when you keep saying I'm working for someone, I'm working for someone, it's like whatever it is that they tell me to do, that's what I would just do. It's very difficult to move ahead, especially in a fast-paced world like what we live in. It's very, very difficult to move ahead at a pace that you would like if you don't have an innovative mindset. If you're not thinking about problems in a way that, oh, how do I solve it? If you keep waiting for others, if you keep waiting to be told what to do before you do it, because, well, it's not my company, it's not my daddy's company, it's I'm just here as an employee. Whether I come to work or not, they have to pay me my salary. Oh well, if I don't come to work, for some people in settings where they deduct salaries for not coming to work. So if I don't come to work, what's the worst that can happen? They're just going to deduct my salary. I hate to break it to you, but the odds of you moving ahead very fast is very slim if that's the attitude, right? So entrepreneurship places a demand on you to show up like you would if you had skin in the game, right? And the pillars of this, please let me know if you're following in the chat box or using the reactions. And if I'm moving too fast, also let me know. All right. Yes. Now, entrepreneurship sounds like such a big word that is far away from you. But think about it. It's just there are three major things. And the very first thing is that if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to constantly be innovating. Now, when we talk about innovation, most times people think, oh, it has to be that you're creating something new. It has to be maybe you're building an app, or you're a founder, or you're doing something that nobody has ever heard of. But do you know that you can innovate within processes, within systems and processes? I was with some colleagues, was it last week? Recently, anyway, at Luth. And someone was sharing how they started a new job, and one of the problems that they realized was that they were always having out of stock, like products were always expiring. And they realized that, oh, how do we fix this? And with a simple Excel sheet that was color coded for them to be able to say, oh, products that are about to expire within so period is color coded in this maybe red or whatever. Products that are expiring within a month is color coded in this. And they took that responsibility to, first of all, create a sheet where they imputed all of the products and then started working out how every month they would check what product is expiring this month and then make sure that those products do not expire on shelf. Right? Are we still together? Okay. And then make sure that those products do not expire on shelf. The person did not create Excel. The person didn't create Microsoft Excel. The person did not create colors. The person did not create the concept of tracking things using Microsoft Excel. No, but they were paying attention to what was happening and realized that, look, it can be a very simple thing. So instead of having to do physical stock count every month, where, okay, well, but we counted these products last month, or we counted it when, let's go and count it again. Instead of doing that every single time, they just found a way to leverage technology and optimize a system that was already in place. And it is innovation. So for you as an employee, as a young person just starting out, there has to be a problem that you're solving for you to be visible, for people to want to see you, for them to know that, oh, this is what's, why should they even care about knowing you in the first place? You have to be solving a problem. And I like to always tell people that go back to first principles. It doesn't have to be the most fantastic thing in the world. No. When you're interacting with your colleagues, you would find out that there are certain things that are working in certain places. Not every time we should just sit and be gisting about BB Niger, gisting about what's happening on Instagram, Twitter, and all of that. No, there are far more important things we can be doing with our time. And sorry, I'm not trying to be a spoil sport, but there are far more important things that you can do with your time. You can find out what systems work in their own place of work and see how you can apply it to your own very specific situation, right? And the next question would be, okay, but how will I do that? I'm just an intern, I'm entry level, I have 10 managers. I can't go to my director, I can't, nobody's going to listen, management is far away. Sorry, I said I was not going to say today, but okay, you get the gist. That leads us to the next step. The next step is support and collaboration. Because there's this thing where most of us, we want to own, oh, I was the one that did it, I did it, I did that, I did this, I did that. And I'm like, you know, you might go fast, but you might not go very far with that mentality, because you need to collaborate. You need to collaborate for you to make the kind of impact that is worth talking about. You need to collaborate, right? And that's where, regardless of the level, there will be an ally at work. If you don't have any ally at work, it means that your professional presence is, what's the polite way of saying that? It means your professional presence is not where it should be. Right? If you don't have any allies at work that you can talk to, someone that is a level above you or a couple of levels above you that you can pitch an idea to and say, oh, this is what I think we should do, it means your professional presence is not where it should be. So you need to go back and fix it. Now, with support and collaboration, again, if there are two of you at the same level and you're thinking about the same problems, you can always come together and propose a solution, and you find people who will support you to make it work. And the third pillar of this is you have to be ready to take initiative. Most of us think that leadership is when you're appointed, oh, you're the head intern, you're the this, you're the that. No, you have to be able to step up when there's a gap. Now, in my place of work, we have interns come in repeatedly, and year after year, I see different people with different approaches to different problems. And one thing that always stands out is it's not difficult to identify the leaders among them, because once they see a problem, they will always solve it. And the most beautiful part for me is when an intern comes in and they identify that, oh, we can actually do this, and they leave, and other interns come in and they are able to sustain some of those initiatives that interns before them started. And I'm like, look, this is what it is about. You're not going shouting that, oh, I was the one that did this, and then you left the place with it, right? You were able to step up. Nobody had to appoint you, but you identified that there's a problem and you stepped up and tried to fix it. That's what entrepreneurship is all about. And again, this is what business owners do, right? They have a problem, they want to fix it, they look for people. Everybody is reading Is what's that? There's really a $10 book now where he was telling us how much loans that he had and everything. People are looking for investors, right? Entrepreneurs are looking for investors, they're looking for people who will collaborate with them on their projects. But nobody will collaborate with you if you can't show that you can take ownership of the process, right? Okay, I spent a great deal of time talking about that. So I am going to move ahead. You might be wondering, why does that matter, right? I've spoken to you about professional presence and I've also talked about entrepreneurship. Why does that matter? Because when you start thinking in that way, you're contributing to your own professional growth. You have evidence that you can make an impact. It shows that you're doing something that matters, right? And you're able to contribute to the overall goal of your organization. I'm a big picture person. Anybody who has worked with me knows that I'm a big picture person. No matter how bad it's going, I'm always like, look, what's the bigger picture? How do we move to the point that we need to get to? And that's what all of us need. That's how we need to start thinking as early career professionals for us to move ahead. Okay, so I don't have a lot of time left, so I am going to jump right into personal branding, which I believe is one of the things that most of us really just want to hear about. Right. Now, the essence of personal branding is very simple. One is for you to build a unique professional identity and also for you to establish trust and credibility. And the truth of the matter is everybody has a personal brand. Again, you don't have to agree with me, but you already have a personal brand, whether you agree or not. Okay. And your personal brand is at the intersection of how you see yourself and how people see you. Okay, so if you think you're the best thing since jollof rice and people see you as plantain chips, there's a disconnect. So your job is to fix it, to make sure that the way you see yourself is the same way others see you. And it requires a significant level of investment because personal branding is not a single day's activity. It's not even a 1 month activity. It's an ongoing process because what you're trying to do is to communicate a clear image to people that, look, this is who I am. And it's not what they think of when you're there. It's what they think of when you are not there. So when somebody says Christopher, what comes to mind? What's the clear image that comes to mind? Right? When people say, when people call Uyai, for instance, I think I saw Uyai on the call. Yeah, sorry in advance. I'm going to be using your name a lot. When people say Uyai, what comes to mind? Right? And again, what do you stand for? Now, this is very important. We might think, oh, it's only people in places of, or should I say people in positions, politicians, leaders, managers, people who have public personalities and all. They're the only ones that their image and reputation matters. But no, in your organization, what do you stand for? Are you someone who is going to bend the rules for your own personal gain? Do people know you as someone that when you say you're going to get a task done, you will get it done? Or do people know you as, oh, that one, we always come late, don't worry? Or do people know you as someone who will wait till the last minute before getting the thing done, but you will still get it done? Right? You know, myself and a friend, Ekalumba, we always make this joke where, so we have a task and we probably have a month to do it. And it's a very terrible thing. We would leave the task, and somehow, because you managed to get it done in an hour, something that you had a month to do, you managed to get it done in an hour, and then you feel like, oh well, it wasn't so bad. But it's a very destructive loop because one, you, especially if decision makers know that that's how you react or that's how you behave to tasks, it means that they cannot rely on you to be thorough with your job. The only thing they know is, okay, yes, this person said they will deliver it by so and so time, and they will deliver it. But the amount of effort or the amount of details that you would put into a 1 hour task is not the same thing you would put in if you had time to review and review a few times. And I'm saying this as someone who procrastinates a lot. Okay, so what's the image and reputation? I have made it a point of duty that whatever organization I find myself, I'm going to be known for solving problems. That's my job. My job is to solve problems. I enjoy systems thinking a lot. So just tell me what the problem is. Let me figure out how are the different processes linked, and all. I will find the solution by the grace of God. Right? So that's what I stand for. Now, what do you stand for? That's also another question you need to answer in the course of building your personal brand. And at the end of the day, you need your personal brand to be able to tell people three things. To tell them who you are, right? Yeah, who you are. What do you do? And what makes you different? Those are the three questions that your personal brand needs to answer at every time. Now, like every other, almost every other principle in marketing and whatnot, your personal branding, there's P's of personal, there are so many of them. You can have 6, 7, 8, 9, right? But I'm going to focus on 5 of them. And the very first thing is that your personal brand has to be personal. You might be wondering, why are you mentioning personal? It's not tautology. You already said personal brand. The reason is that most times we see people doing things online and we feel, oh, this is fantastic. Let me just copy it. I'll use Aproko doctor as an example. I have seen Aproko pharmacists. I have seen Aproko nurse. I have seen Aproko, can't even remember. And I'm just like, oh my God. You can't deliver the same way. It's different. Like, I'm not saying don't copy the name, but the brand of storytelling that Aproko doctor uses, you have to be really good at it for you to be able to do that effectively. It's not just about picking the most or what's trending and then jumping on it and giving us half-baked recommendations, right? And making people wonder that which medical school or which pharmacy school this person go to, right? So it has to be personal. It has to be something that is authentic to you. That's the very first thing. Now, okay, I'm going to also explain something about this. And then another thing is you have to prioritize. So you've decided that you want to work on your personal brand. It's not something that you will do today, you then disappear and come back to it in 7 days or in 3 months when maybe a post on personal branding crosses your timeline. You're like, I forgot about this, let me come back to it. No, it has to be a priority because you have to be consistent. Now, consistency does not mean posting 3,000. Okay, 3,000 is a lot. Posting maybe 3 articles per day. The fact that everybody's posting 3 articles per day, me too, I must post 3 articles per day. No. Again, I mentioned it has to be personal. So you would have drilled down to find what works for the specific industry that you have picked, for the specific niche that you have picked, or what you want to be known for. Who your audience, where are they? If your audience is on LinkedIn, I'm not sure what exactly you're doing on which maybe TikTok, for instance. If your audience, the people who you need to see the kind of thing that you're doing, if they are on LinkedIn, you have no business going to waste time. I'm not saying don't have a presence on TikTok. I'm just saying, where's your audience? You have to be able to prioritize. It's like people selling things, right? If you're selling a mass market product that relies so much on word of mouth for it to sell, you have to be on X, you have to be on TikTok. LinkedIn just adds an air of professionalism to what you're doing. If it's a mass market product, if your product is not a mass market product and it's like for more premium subscribers, you need to go and find them where they are and preach the gospel of your product to them. It's not the same thing, right? Okay, so it has to be prioritized, and there has to be a purpose for it. Are you doing personal branding for the sake of doing personal branding? Or because everybody's talking about it, so let me talk about it? No, it has to be a purpose. There has to be a purpose. What I tell some of the participants in the boot camp that we do is that what do you want to be known for? We've had healthcare storytellers. We've had people who are passionate about new product development. We've had people who are passionate about health education. What's the purpose of the personal brand that you're building? Oh, okay, as an early career professional, I'm not really sure how I want to build my career. I'm learning so many things at the same time. I'm enthusiastic. So many of you have so many things on LinkedIn. I'm like, good Lord. There's you can see public health enthusiasts and then slash data analyst slash, then you now look for one thing that is so far away and put it again, and I'm just like, oh my days. Can we drill down? It's easy to find. Well, let me not say easy. You can find a connection between health education data analytics, right? Or public health data analytics. There's a connection, but you need to have done the work to find the connection before you're able to preach it to people, so they will know that, okay, you know what you're saying. So there has to be a purpose for whatever personal brand that you're building, and your passion has to come through. Your passion has to come through in whatever it is that you've decided to do. I've told you, my goal is to solve problems. I'm a systems thinker. Wherever you find me, I will solve problems. Right? It's not because I'm the smartest in the room. It's just because that's what I've decided, that, look, I'm not going to be in any system and I would leave and the system will remain the same. I'll do my best not to damage it, but the system will not remain the same. Right? We'll always shake things up a bit. So it's something I'm passionate about. So you have to find something that you are passionate about. And because Dangote is not passionate about cement, he's not passionate about what's the recent thing he's doing now? He's not passionate about fuel, right? About crude oil. At the end of the day, whatever you're doing has to be profitable. Okay, because early career professionals, we need money. Money is very important, right? I know I'm speaking your mind now because I'm talking about money. It needs to be profitable, whatever it is that you decide to do. Okay, so you're not just doing anything that you're doing for doing sake. But where some of us miss it is we lose sight of times and seasons, right? We don't understand that you need to put in the work for you to get the reward that you want. And I'm sure that in the session yesterday, somebody must have mentioned it, that money goes where the value is. But for money to go where that value is, you have to have been able to communicate that value effectively, both by showing up in your professional presence, by creating value in the organization where you work, through entrepreneurship, and then using your personal brand to communicate that message to people. That's it. That's what personal branding is. And for people who, for most of us now, we're still employees. We're working with organizations, and there might be some sort of confusion between, okay, who am I? Who do I work for? Or who do I work with? What's their brand? Which one am I associated with? For instance, I'll use Uya as an example. So Uya is a pharmacist. She's a young pharmacist. Where does she work currently? I think she works for an NGO. I'm not so sure. Then what does the NGO do? Right. So let's assume it's a healthcare focused NGO, right? And then she's also affiliated with Psn-Ypg, right? So you might be wondering, which personal brand should Uyai project? I think that's a familiar problem that most of us would have. So which one? Should she project the fact that, oh, she's a pharmacist who does not want to work a community pharmacy anymore, who has carried a load on her head and has run away? Or should she project the NGO that she's working with? Or should she project Psn-Ypg? If she tries to do all three, there might be some sort of brand confusion, especially if there's no point of alignment between them. But if Uyai has decided that long term, her goal is to be a public health advocate, long term, it's now Uyai's responsibility to find a way to always communicate that message. So if Uyai is posting about World Pharmacist Day, for instance, she's posting from the angle of public health advocacy, right? If she's posting the work that the healthcare NGO she works with, that they're doing, or she just wants to repost something, she's adding her thoughts to it to say, oh, from the point of view of me or Uyai as XYZ, this. You have to do the work. You cannot just, you have to do the work, right? And when she's posting something about Psn-Ypg, she's not just going to be reposting or just saying, oh, YPG is doing this. She's putting some thought into it before she posts it. And that way, when she becomes very intentional about that, it's very easy for her to identify opportunities, whether for herself as a standalone pharmacist, or for herself as somebody who works with the NGO, or for someone who is volunteering with Psn-Ypg. It becomes very clear. Now, this will not happen overnight. It won't happen overnight, but over time, she will definitely reap the rewards of that. And another thing that some of us lose sight of is, as individuals, early career professionals, you don't have any brand equity at all. You don't have. Don't deceive yourself. Brand equity is it's like an intangible asset. It's a kind of value that people have placed on your brand because they've known you over time. Okay, so I'm going to use Emzo as an example. There's hardly, in fact, there's nobody, if you grew up in Nigeria, there's nobody that's not used an Emzo product. You must have used an Emzo product. That's brand equity. Now, I can borrow brand equity from Emzo and say that, look, I'm Yumika Oguns. This is what I want. This is what I do. When I'm talking about my work in commercial success, I can always leverage the strides that Emzo is doing. But I have proof, right? As early career professionals, if you go and leverage brands that do not have anything to do with you, it is falsehood, right? And you need to, that's not, we don't preach that. As much as we encourage you to package and to present yourself in the best light possible, we don't encourage you to do that. But as a young professional as well, wherever, even if you're working in National Orthopedic Hospital, Igbobi, which is one of the best places to work as an intern anyway, I did my internship there. There is an equity there that you can borrow. If you're working with Psn-Ypg, volunteering with Psn-Ypg, there is immense equity there that you can actually borrow while you build your own personal brand. Okay, so I'm a brand manager. I'm always talking about products. And I think that one of the ways that you can make the best out of your personal brand is to think of yourself as a product. In the Personal Brand Cafe, this is it's like a 1 hour class on its own, where we call it's a template. And I usually like this part to be very interactive, but I'm not sure how much time we have left. I think I may have blown the time I was given. So I'm just going to run through this. Now, when you think of any products, your favorite products, right? So let me say, I need someone to type in the chat box. When you think of any product that you really enjoy, what products is that? Let me see what we can use as an example. Anybody? I need something else. Old English bread. Oh yeah. What? Oh God. Okay. Makeup setting spray, Old English bread, Indomie, Emzo paracetamol. Okay. I'm going to take the Indomie one. All right. So, Indomie. When you say Indomie, right? Everybody knows what you're referring to. In Nigeria, everybody knows every noodles brand is Indomie. Yes or yes? Unless you're a posh person like Christopher, that will probably drill down, call it the exact name that it is, right? The rest of us, local people, will probably just say Indomie is Indomie. But what stands out there is that it is, everybody wants to be like the original. It's Indomie. Everybody wants to be like the original, right? So for your product to be successful, the very first thing is that it has to be authentic. It has to be authentic. It's non-negotiable. Which takes us back to the first P that we talked about, which was personal, right? Which means that it is original. Every other, I've seen all sorts of noodles brands, and there's just some things. As much as they claim to be improving on the existing one, there's a difference, right? So the very first thing for you when you're thinking about yourself as a product is, are you being authentic, or are you just copying and pasting? Are you just doing what every other person is doing, or are you being authentic, right? That's the very first thing. Now, Indomie again. What is unique about the Indomie brand? Sharon, do you want to tell us what's unique about the Indomie brand? I'm assuming it's the Indomie brand itself that you're talking about, or not Mini Me. Is it Mini Me they call it? I don't know. All those other ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone, once again. Good evening,
Yeah.
Ma. Okay, for the Indomie brand, It's part of my childhood, though. My childhood was filled with Indomitables, the Indomitables, da, 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 da. So it's an essential part of my childhood. That's
Yeah.
why it's really something that I relate with a lot,
Mm-hmm.
even though they
Mm-hmm.
stop the Indomitables, anything. But the
Yeah.
memories are still there. How my brother and I would collect stickers and paste it on the fridge, paste it
Mm-hmm.
everywhere, would fight over stickers,
Mm-hmm.
That's actually what makes the brand special to me.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to hold on to that. Now, for when Indomie
Hello, ma. I think you got disconnected.
Okay, sorry. I think I lost internet, but can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So I was talking. Let me just try to get the slides back. I was talking about the fact that Sharon still remembers the memory that she had as a child, right? From Indomie, from taking Indomie as a child. Now, you as a product, right? When you've identified what makes you authentic, what makes you who you are, right? Your very your next oops. Can you hear me? Oopsie.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So your very next task when you've identified what makes you authentic is that you have to communicate value. What's unique about you? What was unique about Indomie was the fact that it was fast. It was going to help mothers save time, and children liked it. Right? Now the next thing is visibility. Now, most of us just want to jump from the get go, and just become and just say, okay, visibility. I want people to see me. But what are they seeing? What value do you have that they are seeing? Right. So, a brand that had identified what they wanted to solve, Indomie, right? What was the value they were bringing to the table? They identified it. She talked about the adverts. So many of you who watched TV growing up, I'm sure you can remember some of the adverts for Indomie. They became visible. It's one thing to create a good product that is original and has value, but if the right people who need to see it are not seeing it, the product is going to fail. It's the same thing with you as an individual. If you have hacked the process of improving your professional presence, you have hacked the process of providing value in your place of work. If the people who need to see it are not seeing it, both within and outside your organization, if they are not seeing it, you're going to become frustrated. I'm not being a prophet of doom. It's just what it is. It will become pretty frustrating because you will not be getting results. Right? Now, the other thing is um owning your difference. So you've identified what makes you original, you've identified your value, you're visible to the right people who need to see you, but there has to be something different about you. Okay, I'll use the UI example again. UI is a pharmacist working in an NGO, also affiliated with Psn-Ypg, and is passionate about public health advocacy. But what makes UI different from every other pharmacist who is working in an NGO and is also affiliated with Psn-Ypg. We are in need to find what makes her different and then decide what can she do with it. Indomie people realized that, oh, okay, they launched into the market and a couple of years later, other people started coming in. So they remembered what made them blow in the first place was the fact that they had first mover advantage. Now, they now started introducing different variants. Some of those variants are not as successful as others, but some are actually pretty successful. And you then have other people trying to copy them and do the same things that they are doing. Are we getting the idea? Anybody? Okay. Okay. So you're not losing sight of what makes you who you are. Now, for a product who is authentic, valuable, visible, powerful, if you are not consistent, the product is going to fail. This is the problem that Nokia had, right? Nokia came, everybody was like, Nigeria, we have been having power problems since forever. The gist was Nokia batteries, the 3310, or that one, you could use it to pluck mango and you'll still be fine. If you throw it at mango on a tree, it's probably still fine when it falls down. But anyway, the gist is that Nokia was authentic, it was original. They preached durability, they preached the fact that their battery could last for several days. It was valuable, it was priced for money. They did adverts where they needed to do adverts. Very, very fantastic product. And then they started going into spaces that I would say they had no business going into. I would say they weren't ready. And so people's experiences with them started changing. People could no longer just say, once I buy Nokia products, I'm set for like the next couple of years. They started having problems. And that negatively impacted the brand. It's the same thing with any product. Think of any product that you saw that, oh, they came in, they were loud on TV, they were loud on radio, and then after a while, you just don't find them anymore. Think of variants of some products that people launched, and after a while, you don't find them anymore. That consistency factor, it's easily one of the most powerful ingredients that can make or mar your personal branding journey. So you have to be consistent. And your level of consistency is not, it doesn't depend on what another person is doing. You have to define it by yourself. In our program, we go through an exercise that would help you identify the ideal platforms for your audience, the ideal messaging, how you want to be perceived, who are the people you need to connect with for them to see you the way you want them to see you. Okay. So, oh boy, this is taking up a lot of time. Okay. So let me just run through this. I'd mentioned earlier that when we started, we were going to talk about professional presence, entrepreneurship, personal branding, and then self-leadership. We have talked about 3 of them. Again, this is me trying to crash should I say a 2 weeks session into about an hour. So let's see. Now, self-leadership, like someone defined for us, self-leadership is you leading yourself. Yes, that's what it is. But in terms of what we are talking about, now, professional presence, professional presence, we said, is how you show up, right? So you've defined that. How do you want to show up? You want to be consistent. You want to be known for this, that. You want to be known for different things. That's your professional presence. Entrepreneurship, you have identified that you have to innovate within whatever organization you find yourself. And innovation does not require you to create an app. Does not require you to do fantastic things like that are out of the world. It could be as easy as modifying a process or making a process more efficient. And we've talked about personal branding. The features that you need if you're going to succeed if you're going to succeed in the process of personal branding. Now, when we bring all of this together, the only way it works is if you're in full control of self-leadership. That's the only way that it works, right? So you can have every other thing, but if you are not able to take charge of the outcomes that you want, you're not going to, it's not going to move forward. Again, not being a prophet of doom, but it's not going to move forward. Now, I'm sure you can see the chart. Now, there are 3 sections to self-leadership. There's self-awareness, there's self-discipline, there's self-regulation or self-discipline, and there's self-motivation. Right. So I'm going to start with self-awareness. Self-awareness is knowing yourself. That's the very, very simple thing, is knowing yourself. When we talked about personal branding, we said it has to be personal, right? Are we still together? Great. We said it has to be personal. So you need to know yourself. The two sub pillars that make up self-awareness is one, identify your potential. What are the things I want to do? Like we've said, what's the purpose of my personal brand, right? How can I prioritize it? What makes it personal? How is it profitable to me? And all of that. That's the first pillar. The second pillar is responsibility. You have identified your potential. It is your responsibility to make that potential work. That's self-awareness. So what this also means is you understand what you need to do for you to get the results that you want. You understand if you're a morning person. You understand if, oh, you're a night owl. But then the fact that you're a night owl does not mean when you get to work, if unfortunately for you, your work is a 9 to 5, you can't get to work and be sleeping at work because you're a night owl. We are not the ones that sent you work. Right? You need to understand that something has to give until you get to a point where you can call the shots for yourself. You just have to pay your dues. All of us, we have to pay our dues one way or the other. You have to pay your dues. So you have to understand your values. What a lot of us complain of stress, but really, is it stress or terrible time management and task management? So you need to think about that. So the self-awareness pillar is your potential and you taking responsibility for your potential. Self-regulation or self-discipline. This is you knowing that for every activity, everything that you have to do, you have a choice. It's self-discipline. You have to decide part-time. Okay, I'm going to work on my personal brand. Okay, for me to get this job done at work, this is what I need to do. I need to do more of deep work, focus, drop my phone. Oh, let me stop pressing my phone. I won't start with pressing my phone first thing in the morning. This is what I need to. You make a choice each time. Each time you make a choice. And the second pillar is taking responsibility for that choice. All right. So we've talked about self-awareness, which is identifying your potential and taking responsibility for that potential. The next thing is self-discipline or self-regulation, which is knowing that you have a choice per time and taking responsibility for the choices that you make per time. It's beginning to sound like aspire to Maguire, right? But this is it's a principle that works. If you want to move ahead in your career, it's a principle that works. You don't have to like it, but it works, right? So you are faced with a choice per time and you take responsibility for that choice. And then self-motivation. Self-motivation comes in, it's like, look, I'm not enjoying it, but I have to show up regardless. It is, for instance, when I have interns at work, they have to do this thing called reviewing, what's it called now? Reviewing newspapers. God, they hate that activity. And I always find it very funny. They have to review newspapers. I can see some of my past interns on the call. But why is that activity important? It's important because you need to know what's happening in the news. I'm waiting for the day one of them would say, oh, we don't have to use physical newspapers. We can just go online, walk around maybe a social media listening tool and just key in keywords so that if anything, let me see if any of my interns are on this call. I'll find out tomorrow anyway. But the idea is it's a daily task, it's a weekly activity they have to do and they hate it. But they have to do it. And at some point, we've gotten interns that realize that, oh, okay, this is why we are doing this thing, right? That's motivation. You have to figure it out. And the problem is not in the routine is not the enemy. No, it's how you choose to deal with it. So self-motivation is at the intersection of the potential that you have identified that you have and the choices that you make that is going to affect the outcome of that potential. The choice you make per time is going to let us know at the end of the day, are you going to fulfill your potential or are you not going to fulfill your potential? Do we see how it comes together? Okay. So at this self-motivation point, your daily work, everything that you do every day, you have to see how it aligns with your long-term goal. Now, for the purpose of this conversation, we'll be talking about personal branding, right? So everything that you do every day, how does it go towards how does it how does it come together to help you achieve your goal of having the kind of personal brand that you want? Yeah. Okay, I thought somebody was saying something. Okay. Okay, yeah, Sharon, your hand is raised.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Once again, good evening, Ma. Um, based on everything you have said so far, first I want to mention that I'm a very application person. So I try to make a situation whereby I can apply like all these things you have said instead of like making it theoretical. So one thing
Uh-huh.
I learned, you talked about collaboration and support, right? Um, as for application, I can find people who are going in the same direction as I am in a particular industry, and
Uh-huh.
people whose vision align with mine instead of collaborating haphazardly. Then number two, we talk
Uh-huh.
about solving problems. As as a problem solver, I should be able to identify issues that are coming up that are unfavorable long before they even happen and prefer solutions to them. Then three, talked about making your superiors work easy, right? And it still boils down to problem solving. Person who solves problems without anybody putting, as the metaphorical saying would say, putting fire under your bum can definitely solve problems, can definitely make their superiors work easy. Then you said be ready to take initiative. I think all of them kind of relate to each other because the person who solves problems and a person who takes initiative are very similar because they don't wait for anybody to tell them about taking initiative. They just do what they have to do. Then talk about personal branding. Who are you? What do you do? And what do you do that makes you different? So, in order not to get lost in this sea of voices around the world, because everybody is doing something, it's best to define before you begin who you are, what you do, and what you do that makes you different from other people. Then you also talked about finding your
Great.
people where they are. I initially started building on LinkedIn, but I discovered that my target audience was actually on Instagram. So, using this, I'll have to pivot to Instagram and Instagram based posts as well. Then you talked about the 5 P's. I didn't really take note of that, but I know that it's something I'm already implementing as it was very, very similar to the concept that I was implementing already. Then you also talked about self leadership and you emphasize the Venn diagram on self leadership, on how you don't have to feel like doing what you are doing before you actually take initiative to do it. Whether you feel like doing it or you don't feel like doing it, you just have to do it anyway. You talked about self-regulation, right? Knowing what you're meant to do and doing it immediately. You talked about how we as individuals have the tendency to become distracted, especially at the start of our days. Talked about how we are to know ourselves, know the kind of people that we are in order to ensure maximum efficiency and to ensure that we execute our tasks properly. And yeah, that's all I got from the session.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that's a very good summary. Thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to move on from this now and say that at the end of the day, look, if you don't get any, thank you, Sharon. Really, that's a very, very lovely summary. If you've not gained anything from our session today, there are three things you need to live with. The very first thing is know what matters, right? So you want to build your personal brand. Why? Remember all of the things that we've talked about, and everything that you do every day should align with your long-term goals. It should align. Where do you want to be at the end of the day, right? Everything you do. There are activities that we are, or tasks that we are assigned as early career professionals, and you feel they're just wasting your time, but there are skills that you can learn from there, and it's your responsibility to learn those skills. Okay, so if you're constantly being put on report writing and you're like, what kind of unnecessary stress is this? No, change the way you approach it. Pick up the skills you need to pick up and move. And you need to do the work. You need to do the work, no matter how terrible or how boring it seems. If that's what you need to do to move forward, you need to do it. And the only way the people who matter will see value is when you do the work that nobody wants to do and you do it well. That's it. And the third thing is you have to own your own goal, your own growth by yourself. You have to be able to track it. And in the spirit of collaborating and always ask for feedback. So many of us think we're the best things in sliced bread. Whereas, again, like I said, we're like sour plantain chips. And the reason we are like that, the reason for that disconnect is because we don't ask for feedback, or we take every feedback personal. Like, oh, they're after me, they don't like me. This is this. And a key question for you is, in the process of building your personal brand, if you decide to just even focus on these three things and just do it a little bit better in the next 1 month, what's going to change? Just try. Set your intention every week, do the boring work, and track the progress that you've made. Right? What's going to change? You can. That's an activity I like to throw out in a month. Just try it and see what happens. If a month is too long, do it for 21 days and see what shifts. Right? And I always like to ask people, you say you want to build your personal brand, you say you want to be visible, you want people to see you, etc, etc. But if a stranger should study your routine today like this, what would they assume that your priority is? Is it Saturday night party on BB Nigeria that you assume you're passionate about? Is it the people that are fighting online that you're passionate about, that you're always contributing to? Or are you really, really invested in moving your own personal brand forward? It doesn't have to be very professional, like those of us that like speaking English, right? It doesn't have to be, but if a stranger should study your routine, what will they think your focus is? Is a question for you, right? And now, in the process of this, I think I've talked about some of these things while we were talking. Yeah, so I've talked about some of these things while in the course of the presentation. I know that being an entrepreneur within an organization comes with its challenges, especially if you are a passionate young person. Once upon a time, interns at my organization wanted to do interns week. And they came to me and said, oh, we want to do interns week, blah, blah, blah. And I was wondering how the internet would go about it. So I think the first few times they tried to talk about it, I was not responsive. And I'm sure that they would have probably thought, okay, this is unlike her. What's going on? Doesn't she believe in our plan? Doesn't she believe in what we're trying to do? But I was having the time of my life because I really wanted to see that, okay, are you going to apply anything that you have learned in the course of your time here at all? Or are you just going to keep waiting? If one stakeholder says no, what are you going to do? And if one stakeholder tells you, go to this person, are you going to do it or are you not going to do it? Are you going to wait? Or are you going to be proactive? And after initial feedback, when I eventually decided that, okay, I was done sweating, making them sweat. So after initial feedback, and these guys went ahead to build on the plan, build on the feedback, took it to the right people. I got questions back end, which they never knew about, right? About, oh, does this make sense? Blah, 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 blah. And I answered the question. Now, that's the importance of allies. Because your allies would have seen that you know what you're doing. This is why you're trying to do it. They don't have to tell you that this is what I'm doing for you in the background. You don't even need to see them doing it. But because they have seen all of the efforts that you have put in over time, they are able to stand in for you or to stand in the gap for you. When your name is mentioned in names that in when your name is mentioned in rooms that you're not even present, that you don't even know about, right? So you need to always find ways to gain support from people. Okay, and you can read a bit more about the other things. Yes, so whatever it is, whatever challenges that you find that in the course of building your personal brand, there's always a way around it, right? Now at the end of the day, it's I'm rounding up. It's you have a personal brand, like I said, whether you like it or not. It's at the intersection of how you see yourself and how people see you. Your job is to show up every day and make sure that you are curating an image that people can bank on. And the only way you can do that is if you have a strong professional presence as an entrepreneur, wherever you find yourself, you're always solving problems. And then you do it well. That's the only way. And that's my charge for you. That for you to have your personal brand, you have to show up correct. You have to always deliver value. You have to be able to take charge of yourself. That's true self-leadership. That's the only way, right? And at the end of the day, I like to always ask people, whatever results that you want, have you been consistent enough to get the results, to deserve the result? It's not whether it's going to drop in your laps or not. Have you been consistent enough to actually deserve that result that you want? So tell yourself, with your own church mind, right? Or tell yourself the truth. Have you been consistent enough to actually deserve the results that you want? If you haven't, please try to refer to some of the things that we've spoken about today, even the things that the facilitators shared with you yesterday, and make the move that you need to make. So thank you very much for listening. Yes, I believe that's the end of the speech. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Family Maker. Please, can we give a warm applause to her for that beautiful and that wonderful presentation? This was a very interesting and very insightful session. And in fact, she raised some very deeply personal questions that we all need to reflect upon. You know, they're very extremely salient points, and you can apply them across any industry that you're in, or even regardless of what personality type you think you have. So I would really recommend that those of you that were not intentional enough about taking notes, you can always go back and watch the recordings, because honestly, this session has been value packed, and trust me, I think you would benefit a lot from going over it again and again and again. So we're moving on to the question and answer session now. If you have any questions, please raise your hands, or if you're not in a place where you can talk, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box. Okay, I can see someone raising their hand. Dorin, you can go ahead and ask your questions.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Fami Mika. Thank you for that insightful session. I really learned a lot from this session. So my question is around what you were talking about, professional personal branding, and how to go about it. So I'm an intern, and I'm asking the question as an intern, and probably like on behalf of other interns that would share the same point of view. So as an intern, I'm just starting the pharmacy space, and I've only worked in community pharmacy largely. I'm currently interning at a hospital space rather. So how do I like know where I see myself? How do I know what I like? Because I feel like that's one thing I've struggled with. I don't know. I know that okay, at the back of my mind, I've been like, okay, I like the industry space. I from school I felt okay, I'm going to be an industrial pharmacist and all of that. But now working in the hospital space, I find that there are things that I think I like about it, and there's some things that I don't like. But how do I know which part is best for me? And then I hear a lot about taking courses like personal development. You need to take courses, professional development, you need to take courses. How do I know which courses I need to take that would be beneficial to me? Do I need to take all courses? Which would be better for me? So that's my question, essentially. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can we take all the questions? So I just respond at once. Okay, does anybody else have any other questions? Okay, please go ahead, Yusuf. Yusuf, you can go ahead with your question.
Oh, sorry. I'd been talking. I forgot to unmute. Yeah. Okay. So good evening. What I learned, in fact, was what relates exactly to what I've been trying to learn of recent. All right. So the question I want to ask is a bit personal, and I hope you are willing to share. So you mentioned that earlier on in your career that you had this personality where you were like, it's either you like me or you like the job that I am doing. So, that kind of, shall I say, egotistical kind of personality. So for me, I have this other kind of personality, which is like, um, think whenever I come out as my own full self, I come out as being a bit um I come out as being a bit intimidating. That's at least what I think in my head. It's not that anybody has told me. And so almost every time I try to like bury myself, I try to like hide my own shall I say power just to make other people around me feel comfortable. So I want to ask, what was your journey like changing your personality? Because I think a change of personality is one of the most difficult things that anyone can do. It's even more difficult than learning a skill or going to school. So please, what can you share what your journey was like going from someone who thought it's either you like me, someone who literally did not care, let me put it that way, to someone who tried to balance out the ability to connect with people and also deliver the work while not, forgetting or burying your own self in the process. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Yusuf. Does anyone else have any other question? Okay, Doreen, go ahead. Go ahead, Doreen. Your hand is up.
Oh, sorry. I forgot to ask a question. The question Yusuf just asked reminded me. Okay, so another question I have is, so currently at where I'm interning, there are some issues with like payments, the money we that was told that we're told we're going to be paid is not what we're actually like collecting. And it's like creating kind of like the motivation. There's no motivation because personally, I spend about 90,000 on transportation alone to the place, and it feels like when we are eventually paid, I don't really have anything like to fall back on except money for my transportation fare. So it takes away the motivation that I had when I first started like the work, because although my motivation was not from the money that I would be paid, but somehow it affects, like it lubricates. I don't know if you understand where I'm coming from. So my question is, how do I stay motivated? How do I keep up with the initial energy I came with to the job, even when things are not like exactly going as I planned when I started off? That's my question.
Okay. Thank you for that question, Doreen. If there are no other questions, we will go ahead to let Famimika answer the ones that have already been given.
Okay. Can I proceed?
Go ahead, over to you.
Okay. So I'm going to start with the very last one on money being paid not being what was communicated in your contract or whatnot. There's no YPG Lagos people. I think that's something you need to look into. So you find out if it's an institutional problem or if it's um, if it's a localized or a generalized problem. I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. That's part of your mandates as PSA Young Pharmacists Group. Okay, so how to stay motivated? Your internship period is 1 year, and your internship is a learning period. You will never have as much time as you have right now. Again, let me just put it to you. You will think you're busy now as an intern, or there are so many things, but it's you will not have the kind of time that you have now again. So how do you stay motivated? I'm going to tie it back to your first question, Doreen, which was on how to know what you like and then find what works. So, in the personal brand cafe, our very first, I think, exercise usually goes through helping you identify what your core strengths are as an individual outside pharmacy, outside all of that. What are your core strengths? What are your skills? And then you find your values. What are your values? What are the things that you are that makes you light up? Yeah. Then we also help you find out what do you want to be known for. Now, it might sound like, oh, why are they stressing me to go through all of these things? The reason is because when you go through that exercise, some participants had to redo that particular exercise up to 3 times. Because what it does is it would force you to think through where you are right now. Where do you want to be? And that way, we're able to find the things that you like. And you then look at your current job. How can I get closer to my end goal with my current job? Its internship is a 1 year learning period. What are the things I can learn in this 1 year that will help me get to where I'm going to? That's usually the question that you have to answer. And if you're able to do that exercise sincerely, it becomes easier for you to identify. Now, like I said, don't borrow another person's passions, don't borrow another person's values and all of that. It's you yourself. If you're somebody that, no, let me not go into that. But you have to find out what are your core areas of strength, what are your skills, what are your values and your passions, and then see how you can identify activities within your current job that would help you move closer towards your goal. Now, you sounded very passionate when you were asking the question, so I'm going to make you an offer. I've not done a one-on-one session in a while, but I'm going to make you an offer to take you through a one-on-one personal branding session. So please send me a mail at I think it's Personal Brand Cafe. Christopher. Let me see if I can type the email address. So I'm going to please send me an email with your details, and we will see what we are able to do. Please bear in mind that the success or otherwise of this interaction that we're going to, I told myself I wasn't going to do personal sessions anymore, but the success or otherwise depends entirely on you, and it's going to stretch you. I'm sure if you talk to anybody that has done this, they will tell you the same thing. So I'm just dropping the email address. Yes. So please just send me an email with your details and we will take it from there. Okay. So the next question. What I said was, I didn't say do you like me or do you like the job I'm doing. So there's this funny anecdote I like to share, and that's when I was contesting for national chairman of Psn-Ypg. We had this manifesto thing, and people kept going, you don't greet people. Oh God, I still hate that question till date. Hate is a strong word. I don't appreciate that question. I feel like if I don't greet you, you should greet me. Right? I'm not walking around on the streets looking for who to greet. I probably have things I'm thinking of. Right? It came from a place of pride, which if you had told me that 7 years ago, I wouldn't have agreed with you. I would have argued that nah. But it came from a place of feeling like whatever was going on with me was more important than anything that was going on around. And I believe in God, right? I mean, if anybody has interacted with me knows that I do not take my beliefs for granted. And it took some experiences helping me to realize that Whatever it is that you think you know, or whatever it is that you think you are just a tiny speck in the universe. It's not, your importance doesn't spread as much as you think, and it's really humbling when you think about it that way. So during that campaign, someone said, "Oh, you don't greet people thing," and oh, but some of us feel we don't like you. We don't want a chairman that we don't like. And so I asked the question: do you want a chairman that you like, or do you want a chairman that will do the work? Right. This was during the manifesto. So you can imagine that it was a make or break situation. Like, look, you guys have done all the things I need to tell you to convince you that you need to vote for me and all. But if you're not ready, all the best to you people. And I didn't even realize I had said that until somebody told me much later that you're a crazy person. Do you know you're a crazy person? What did I do? And the person said that. And you know, when the person told me that statement, I heard my pride loud and clear. But honestly, it came from a place of, look, I just want to be there and get the job done. I don't need you to like me. I just need to get the job done. But you won't move very far. Because yes, I won that election, but getting certain things done in some regions was so difficult. I then had to start relying on people who had better social currencies than I did at the time to help me get the job done, because I could not be associated with failure. And in that process, I started paying attention. Okay, people want to feel good about themselves. Nobody wants to feel like they are nothing, and everybody is important. They're not the most important person on the face of the earth. Everybody is important. You might think you're better than them today, and all. Look, all of us, we have our areas of strengths and weaknesses. So you need to be able to approach whatever situations you find yourself in with that mindset that you're just a speck in the universe. And there's no, where your own power ends is where another person's own starts, right? So it's a whole mindset shift that you need to have, right? And if you believe in God in whatever way, I mean, if you need to, okay, sorry, I'm not going to preach to anybody today. But if you do, you might find out that the religious figures that I believe in God, and Jesus Christ preaches humility. It's not, there's no pride in him, right? So you just, whatever it is that works for you, right? Just have a switch. So I did not change my personality. I'm still the same annoying person I was 10 years ago. What just changed is a more, I didn't have to shrink myself either. No, I just got to realize that, look, there's so much more you can do when you treat people the way you would want to be treated. So if I know better, if I know something more than you do, yeah. Can you hear me? Okay, so if I know more about a particular subject than somebody else, I'm not going to talk down on them just because I know better than them. No. So that's something that you have to learn. And you need people. No matter how good you think you are, you need people. You need people. So you have to create that atmosphere intentionally and be willing to learn from other people. That's the best posture to have. Whatever you know, just have it, but be open-minded to learn from other people. That just makes a difference. You'll be surprised at what you can learn from other people, really. I hope that answers your questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Psn-Ypg. That was absolutely amazing. We've had such a wonderful session with you today. And we are so happy that you took the time to actually be here with us. And also, thank you to everybody that joined this session. So if there are no more questions, we are going to now take the vote of thanks. I'm going to call from Christopher to do the honors.
Thank you very much, Psn-Ypg, for everything that you shared with us today. It's been a privilege to learn from you. And as someone that has worked under you before, I must say that now that I've left that environment, I have I'm just realizing how lucky I was to have been able to meet you. So, on behalf of everyone in Psn-Ypg Lagos, I want to say a big thank you for everything you've taught us. On behalf of the state coordinator, I want to thank you for your time. And I hope that we're able to have other collaborations in the future. And to everyone here, thank you very much for joining. And I'll see you in our next meeting.
Right. Thank you guys for having me. Thank you very much. Have a lovely night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.